truly walking in the forests of the world? Are they large, upright, bipedal creatures? Are these just misidentifications known animals, or even humans? Welcome to another episode of Sasquatch Watch Radio. Join your hosts Billy Willard and Gary Kendrick every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, as they take you on a journey into the unknown and mysterious. We bring you compelling eyewitnesses and dedicated researchers who delve into this enigma. Have you had a sighting or encounter? We'd love to hear your story and potentially have you as a guest on our show. Reach out to us at SasquatchWatchRadio on gmail.com or connect with us on YouTube, Facebook, and our website squatchradio.com. We do this show for you, our amazing listeners, and we're incredibly grateful for your support. Now get ready for another exciting episode with your host, Billy Willard and Gary Kendrick.
In the heart of the forest, legends awaken from the shadows. The tales of Sasquatch echo through time, a mystery that remains unsolved.
As the smoke clears, the sign stands resolute, a beacon of intrigue. What secrets lie within the forest's depths? The quest for truth begins at Sasquatch Watch Radio. Here's Billy Willard and Gary Kendrick.
All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Sasquatch Watch Radio. Today is Monday, July 14th, 2025. We've got a great show for you tonight. And before we get our guest in here, let's get our other host in here. How you doing tonight, Gary?
I'm great. Hi, everybody.
Good to see you. Glad to see you back home.
Yep. Had a wonderful time. Spent time with family. It was great.
Good deal. Got what a week or two down at the beach?
Got a weekend down there, yeah.
That'll be good, yeah.
Did a lot of traveling around down there, Charleston and things like that. It's beautiful. It's one of my favorite places.
Good deal. I'm glad you had a good time. Well, I'm getting ready to bring on a guest here, and me and Gary have already mentioned, look, we're bringing on someone who works for George Noory, okay? Coast to coast. We ain't no match for coast to coast, so we're going to try to be on our game here tonight so that we don't embarrass ourselves. We can do that on our own.
Yeah.
So without further ado, let's get our host in here. She works at Coast to Coast AM. You may have seen her on a couple programs. Heidi Hollis, welcome to the show. Uh-oh, wait a minute. I got to unmute you. There we go. Now we can hear you.
There we go. Hey, it's all good. It's awesome to join you guys. It's great.
Glad to have you on. Now, is that all your books back there that you wrote?
Yeah, those are my books. Yep. There's one that is not up there though, but yeah.
Oh.
And then there's a new version of The Secret War that's only as an ebook. I got to get it back into print soon. I'm getting hammered on that one. So yeah, well, I'm working on a new book right now too. Almost done. So almost done.
Good deal. Good deal. All right. So you've met my co-host here, Gary Kendrick. I always tell everybody he is my investigator, researcher. He's the one that puts the questions together for the interviews. He's good at what he does, and I'm going to turn it over to him.
Sweet. Yeah, he just appeared on the screen. I've never seen him before. I'm just kidding.
He sneaks up on you.
Yeah, just out of nowhere. Like, where did that guy come from?
I'm good at sneaking up on stuff.
That's all good.
I'd like to introduce our guest tonight, Heidi Hollis. Heidi is a correspondent with Coast to Coast AM. She's an author, and as you can tell, she's written a pile of books on several different subjects. You're a podcaster. I don't know how you have time to do anything. You're obviously a busy lady. I'd like to start off with, with a pretty serious question. What got you into cryptids?
Oh, gosh. I just found the whole subject to be fascinating in general, and not just having experienced it for myself, but I mean, come on, it's Bigfoot. I mean, and then hearing the Hendersons, the TV shows. I mean, it's the mystery. It's like I grew up on Smurfs, and it's just the mystery of what lives in the forest. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. And it's like I do a paranormal comic strip. Who's my main character? It's the Bigfoot, and his name is Hog. So I just love the whole shebang. I mean, it's the intrigue. It's there's so much we don't know that lurks, and I would have never thought I'd come upon something myself in that regard, because I live in other corners of mystery, and to be met with something like that, I mean, it's kind of a dream come true and a nightmare come true at the same time. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
All too well. You've had some, what you believe are encounters with Sasquatch. Why don't you tell us about your encounters with Sasquatch?
Yeah. Oh, man. So I guess I'll talk about the less profound, because the really major one just shook my every chord of my being, just everything, every strand. So in the Ozarks, there's a UFO conference, the Ozark UFO conference, and I would go there every year with a group of friends, and I'd had a book, of course, written. Oh, look, he got frightened. Is Bigfoot coming in?
Bigfoot coming in back there, Gary?
That was my wife.
Oh, he spun around like something got him. but
Marine, when I hear noises, I move.
Oh yeah, he totally startles. Like, I don't know if he's good for sneaking up on Bigfoot. Oh, goodness. But yeah, so like I had go to this conference all the time. And at the time, I'd already had my book written called The Secret War. It's based on shadow people and Hat Man. I'm the lady that introduced those two topics to the world. And I was over there and I got approached by a lady who was just like, love your work and all this stuff. And she's like, I got a farm up the street and I got a family of Bigfoot living on the land. I'm like, really? like what a treat. First off, I'm like, and I have my group of friends and we're just like, yeah, you want to come after the conference tonight and we'll go up the road a few miles and I'll show you around my property. And we're like, oh, heck yeah. So we go walking along. I don't know how many acres that she had, but she had some animals on the land, but wasn't growing anything. And it was beautiful. And she had this little stream that went through her property too. And so she's walking us along and I'm just taking in the beauty. I love it. I was raised out in the sticks and I'm just loving it, and I'm like, wow, this is gorgeous. And my friends are all chatting with her and kind of walking ahead of me. And she's like, okay, so we should walk carefully now because the Bigfoot can get agitated because it has babies. I'm like, like again, I can't even fathom. Oh, sure she does. Okay, there's a Bigfoot out here with babies. But and she's like, yeah, sometimes they'll throw stones or something, if you get too close. And as my friends are all like, I don't know, 15 paces ahead of me, and I'm just taking it in, and the stream, the little river is right next to me. And it's still pretty light outside. And the woods that she has there on her property, it's not really thick where you can't see pretty well, and she has a lot of cleared spots and everything. And out of nowhere, a boulder, not a stone, but a boulder was chucked at me and landed in the water next to me. And that sound, whoosh, and splash. I'm like, I am looking around. There is nothing that could have thrown that. Nothing. And I mean, it was probably 2 feet to my left. And my friends are ahead and they all turn around because they hear the whoosh, I don't know how heavy that stone had. It was a boulder. I don't want to say stone. It was about this big, I mean, I don't know. Like that was probably a foot wide and 8 inches high. That was heavy. Yeah. And I'm just like, I couldn't believe, like I'd heard that, Bigfoot are around, they might throw some pebbles at you. No, boulder. And and the lady goes, oh, real gentle. Oh gosh, we must be too close. Let's just kind of move a little bit this way. I'm like, I'm breathing heavy, right? I'm like, what on earth? Like I scurried myself right up with the group because I was starting to feel a little bit pretty threatened. You know what I'm saying? Because I just, I couldn't understand why I got targeted. First off, there's a bunch of us. I want to say there was like 6 of us. Mm-hmm. And I get the boulder? Really? I'm the threatening one. I'm just dilly-dallying. I don't know. I was away from the pack and I was a good, easy target, I guess. I don't know.
How far were you from them?
I was probably they were probably 15, 20 steps ahead of me. So,
okay.
Yeah, I wasn't like that far behind them, but I mean, is that a pattern?
Well, usually, I have a funny feeling they were keeping an eye on you. The fact that you were a little lagging, like you were maybe looking around, And
I was.
You were too serious.
I was just like, there's babies. I want to see a Bigfoot, I'm just like, it was crazy. So we go further onto her land and she has a spot where she puts a bonfire. And this is so crazy because one of the things that she showed me that intrigued us to go out to her property was that she was getting tons of photos of, quote, orbs. The little mystical spherical things that get attracted to light. And her photos were so enamored with orbs, it was hard to see a person standing. It was crazy. And I'm like, no way. Like, I hadn't experienced orbs to that extent at that time. And so just before we're walking on to her land to go along the side of there where we saw the stream, she had us on the back porch of her property to take pictures, just flashing the camera and getting the flash of the camera to track the orbs in. I did it a couple times, pulled in some orbs and like one or two, and then the more you flashed, the more it just filled. Like, I was just really shocked. I'm like, wow, this lady really has a whole lot, And so at the time it was disposable cameras. That's all we had was disposables. And so I'm flashing like, wow, these are amazing, amazing photos that we're getting. And then we go to walk on her property. So as the sun starts to go down, she's like, oh, let's put a fire on over here. She's like, but before we do that, she's like, I've got this stone over here. I'm suspicious that Native Americans stacked. And it was like a big flat table rock, like with some other stones that kind of supported it. And she's like, we seem to get a lot of concentration of issues or seeing things over here. And the Bigfoot, like, okay, So we didn't light the fire and we're just like hanging out. And gosh, it was such a magical night. That's all I could tell you. And so the sun continues to go down. And as it's going down and it's starting to get, to a decent level of shade, like, I guess you could say like a pyre of light was beaming up from this flat table rock. And we're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm out of photos in my disposable camera. My friends are all out of theirs. We're like, no, this is so cool. I'm like, sure, this would happen right now, right? And you're kind of seeing some distortions with this light. And we're I'm so bad with distance to say how far away we were. I want to say we're like a half acre away from where this stone was. And we started walking closer to it to get a, like, wow, this is, it's not glowing. It's not reflecting the moon. It looks like a straight up beam going straight, just like, yeah, some nights it could be really profound. And this is a profound night. And we're just mesmerized and we're watching this and it's starting to get a little chilly. And she's like, well, that's not going away. Let's just start the fire. And as we're walking towards where she has her bonfire pit at, we start hearing some rustling behind us. And she's like, oh, here they come now. I'm like, who? I've already had a boulder chucked at me. I don't want to see, oh, I think the Bigfoot are watching. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And it started to get really dark now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if this thing has better aim with those boulders, I don't want to be anywhere close, And sure enough, in I'm keeping my distance. My friend's kind of going close to be daring. I'm like, no way. Like it shakes you when you have a boulder toss at you.
A little bit.
So I was still shaking up. I'm like, I am not going closer. Okay. It's got good aim and a strong arm to chuck a boulder. And she's going closer. And man, these two glowing, piercing eyes stepped, to the edge of where the wood line is. And I was just shaking in my boots. I want to say 8.5 feet up or something. And I'm like, no way. Not me. Not it. I am not going to take this one, for the team. And my friend's going closer. And the other few are, pretty decent distance. And they're seeing it though. And they're like, oh, let's get this fire going. It's getting a little chilly. I'm like, and I'm telling my friend, because I don't want her to be Sasquatch chew or something. I'm like, girl, get back here, because this thing is huge. Whatever it is, that's not a deer, and a deer can't throw boulders. and she's like, oh, I guess so, and I kept my eyes that direction as I backed up the little hill to get to the bonfire, because I didn't want to get bum rushed by a Bigfoot. What a shame that would be. So yeah, that I was impressed enough to believe this lady, and to be able to witness the orbs and this glowing stone. Something magical was happening on that land. And what's amazing to me, we had such a connection to this woman that two of my friends that were in the group with us put a house on her land and moved in. It was such we just had such a good time, and she was such good people. And my friends are like, this just feels right. And they started talking about, we'll place a double wide right here, and they lived out the rest of their days there. They had a good old time. And they're like, Heidi, the orbs, the Bigfoot. I'm like, oh my gosh, man, it was pretty magical. So that was my first encounter with, I'm pretty darn sure was Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like it.
About your encounter, if you don't care.
Yeah.
How far do you think that rock was thrown?
Man, it appeared out of nowhere. I didn't hear it, whiz by me or anything. And the thing is, like, there weren't like boulders around. You know what I mean? It was a stream. I don't know how wide this stream could have been. Maybe, I don't know, 6-7 feet wide. It wasn't huge. And you could tell that the area was cleared of big stones, and I just don't know where that thing came from. It absolutely was thrown at me.
I kind of tell you the reason I asked, for starters, on that one is, to try to take it out of the realm of a human, that's a big rock.
It was.
And it takes quite a bit of strength to throw a rock like that, even just a few feet. So if it's coming from distance, that is a phenomenal amount of energy that's being spent just to throw that rock. My other question is, you mentioned glowing eyes. What color were the eyes, and do you think that the eyes were reflecting some ambient light, or do you think they were actually glowing?
It was dark out. There was no light for it to reflect. And I wondered that too. I'm like, how the heck are these eyes glowing like that? It's like it's not reflecting the moon. So it made me wonder too, that it lets you know it was looking right at you. And mind you, as we're around the fire, those eyes appeared several more times. So it was keeping an eye on us. I'm like, again, I'm not it. I wasn't walking anywhere by myself. Oh, no way. Not after that.
No, you're going to see some images coming up. I'm trying to look for a certain image to see if that looks similar to what you saw.
Sure.
Because we have seen these things.
What color were the eyes, Heidi?
If I had to guess, it's not like they were white. I want to say they were like maybe a yellowish, brownish, like they weren't super bright, and they weren't huge either. Oh, there goes some orbs. Nice.
Yep.
And I've never, some people will say, oh, raindrops. Well, I've never seen raindrops going upwards.
Yeah, no way. That's not the orbs that we saw. They crowded in one on top of another. The whole space became so just concentrated. Like it started like that, and then they would come like puppies to you, and just take up the whole space of everything. That's pretty cool.
I tried really hard when we first started getting those orbs in the photos, because the first photos we took were during daytime. And they were full of orbs. And I tried really hard to explain away what those were. And I said, they're insects. And then it got kind of cold that night, and we took more pictures, and there were a lot more orbs, and there wasn't any insects out.
Oh, yeah.
Not insects.
No.
I actually saw one of them form, and it was beyond description. And I've talked about it a few times on the show. It's pretty wild.
Wow.
Here comes Mick.
That's funny. That was funny. That was funny. Well, if it was Meatloaf, I would have been not as terrified. But if it could kerplunk like that, whew, it sounded like, you know, somebody does a cannonball into water, that double poosh, you know.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was. It was solid. It's a big one. Oof, that's hilarious. If Meatloaf can do that, then I ain't eating.
Oh, he won't eat it either.
Yeah. Ooh, that's crazy.
Do you have any other encounters that you'd like to talk about?
I do. I have one, and I shared this with Billy, and I am just I'm mystified about this one. And I've talked to a lot of researchers in the field and trying to get an understanding about what it was. So I ran a UFO group. I had a UFO website before most people had a website. And it was called UFO2U.com. So the number 2 letter U.com. And I ran it out of the public library for a long time, 15 years. And I had, people would come out of curiosity or because they experienced something or whatever. And I had a lady that would come in there. She's probably, I don't know, early 30s. And her reasons for coming were just didn't make so much sense to me. And she kept trying to get me and me specifically to go to her house because she's like, something weird is going on here. I'm like, I am not a psychic. I'm not a ghostbuster. I don't know what she's talking about. Something weird's going on. I'm like, oh gosh. So month after month, because it met monthly, she's just begged me, come on, please come to my place. And I'm like, I am not going to any stranger's house unless I bring my friend with me first off, you know? So I brought one of my closest friends, my college roommate. I was in college at the time. And I'm like, she takes us to her place, which just so happened to be pretty darn close to the public library that I held my meetings at. And I'm like, oh, if you told me it was right here, I would have invited everybody to come on over. You know, it was like a block away, not even. And so she's renting this apartment above a pretty popular bar. Okay. And it's in it's the east side of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which is the college side of town. And so it's a busy, bustling place. I mean, Milwaukee's the city and its surrounding areas is over 1 million people. It's not a small city, you know? And so we go to her house and my friend, Samantha, we're like, you know, again, why are we here? She's walking through and she's saying, and over here, like, I swear I saw something move. And over here, you know, there's knockings and scratchings on the wall. And we're just like freaked out. Like, my God, she's got a demon in here. What is she talking about? She's like, and it smells sometimes. It'll smell like a filthy animal is in here. And I'm like, that sounds awful. And, so it's crazy, right? And as she's turning her back, you know, me and my friend are rolling our eyes, mouthing words like, oh, hold on a second. It's like, and what's the point? What's the point? Why are we here? And, you know, she's chit-chatting like, you know, we're going to be able to ghost bust her place or something. And we go into her living room and she has this kitchen behind her. She sits facing us Her back is to her kitchen, and me and my friend are sitting on her couch facing her kitchen. And she's going through the stories that she's experienced in this place. And we're like, ooh, sounds crazy. She's like, yeah, I think I've seen something, and then I don't. And I don't know where she's going with this. And as she's talking, like where her back is to, it's like the bar of her kitchen. Like there's a kitchen counter, and then there's the cabinets hanging over the kitchen counter, and then you got that space in between, right? I don't know what would that be, a few feet maybe, or I don't know however high those kitchen cabinets are hanging. And as she's talking, out of nowhere, I get chills every time I think about this. Behind her, looking through into her kitchen, I see this, like when you see heat rising off a road, the mirage, start seeing that going in her kitchen. And all of a sudden, this big, shaggy creature appears in her freaking kitchen. And I literally have goosebumps all over. And I jump up and I scream, Bigfoot! And my friend jumps up at the same time screaming, werewolf! And the woman's like, where? And we're like, in your kitchen. And she spins around. And this thing, we watch it shimmy out into nothingness. But the background was still a little distorted. And because of where the cabinets were hanging, you couldn't see the head, but I could absolutely see the body. And it was like a brown, shaggy with some grays and darker browns in there. And I tell people it kind of looked like the color of Cousin It's hair, but long, shaggy. Like I could make out there's a shoulder and arms, but it was straight up shag. And I mean, I did not sit down. Me and my friend are like, what was that? What was that? And I'm like, did you see the head? I'm like, I couldn't see the head. And maybe if I kept sitting down, I could have, and maybe leaned over, but it was terrifying. It was solid. It was there. And we're trying to explain to her, and she's just like, what do you mean, a creature? I'm like, I have never seen a hairy beast before. And it manifested right in front of our eyes. And as she's talking to us, and me and my friend are just freaking out. Like, what was that? Why on earth did we see that? I'm like, I have got to use the bathroom because this just got me going. And I'm like, where's your bathroom? Oh, it's in the kitchen. Oh, God.
Yeah. Well, that ain't going to happen.
Man, you know what I did? I was like, oh, man. Okay. So I went to go use the bathroom. And when you get that static electricity where your hair stands up, it was in the kitchen. And I could feel this thing was there still. And I started scraping along the side of the wall so I wouldn't run into it because I could feel it was still in that spot. And my friend, she's like, let's get out of here. I was like, what did we experience, And I'm like, I watched a shaggy, hairy creature manifest in somebody's home. And I'm like, if that was, my first instinct was to scream Bigfoot. I think I see how they can hide. I absolutely saw it shimmy in and shimmy out right before my eyes, and my friend as well. I wrote a little article about it too, because it was called Bigfoot or Werewolf. But in somebody's home, in a busy section of a city, I just, and when I'm talking about it right now and thinking about, she said there were smells in the place and a presence that she felt like was really a solid thing. Because I kept telling her, I'm not a ghost hunter. You're coming to a UFO group talking about something paranormal going on in your home. And I was like, I can't relate. I can't help you. I was raised in a haunted house, though, mind you. But it just wasn't my expertise of anything. I'm a UFOs and now Shadow People Hat Man. So it was a wake-up call for me to know that something absolutely solid could manifest, have a smell to it, and essentially like haunt a property in a busy part of a city. I just don't know. I don't know. But
I have to admit that is a very strange story. Personally, and again, I think we all have our personal opinions on, none of us are 100% correct because we don't know.
Yeah.
But I have an opinion that was some type of a demonic spirit. That's me. That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
I've thought about that too, but it didn't have that feel to it,
Yeah.
It just didn't. And it seemed to be clumsy, bumping into her things, knocking stuff over, not like menacing her, but... So
in other words, it literally materialized.
It did. Solid. Okay. Yeah. The hair and all. And I'm like, did a Bigfoot get trapped in the city? So no.
I'll be honest with you. I'd have been out. That'd been it. What about you, Gary? I've been out.
Oh, it's crazy.
Only thing you would have seen was my butt through the door. I'm gone.
Oh, man.
Varix has a question here, and it's pretty valid, too. Said, did Heidi's friend ever have previous Sasquatch encounters?
Was she with me then? No, she hadn't. She hadn't seen anything like that before. She'd seen something like, this sounds crazy, but I think it was kind of like a Mothman looking creature she saw once. And horrific story. I could tell you that one. It's a crazy story. So she'd seen something before that, and later UFOs, alien stuff. But it was just out of our scope of something shimmying into reality like that. And it was almost like a camouflaging ability. Because how could it do that? And it, like, I've seen ghosts, I've seen demons, I've seen angelic things though too. And I'm not a psychic or a guru or anything like that. I think I just have a lot of bad luck. I do.
Wrong time.
What's that?
Right place, wrong time.
I swear. It's like, I don't want to see that mess. That freaked me out because I know it was solid. And when I think about the midsection of some of how people show that chest, it reminds me of like the Bigfoot, it's like the shape of it, the shoulder. It absolutely had arms. You could see definition in the arms, and it just had that. Bigfoot came out of my mouth so quick, stuttering and screaming. Yeah.
All right. Well, we are a little bit past the half-hour point. So if you remember, Heidi, I'd asked you about the kind of music that you liked. So we've made a custom song for you.
Ooh.
I did the best I could to get kind of what you're used to. So I hope I got it close.
Nice.
So we will play that and see what everybody thinks.
Great. That was amazing. That was so good. I loved it. That was amazing. And bravo.
That's got some early POD sound to it. I like it.
Yep.
That was great. Thank you. I don't think I've ever had a song that had my name in it. That was so cool.
Now you got a theme
that's
song
pretty
for your podcast.
That's right.
I'm telling you, I might have to play that. That is so cool. My goodness.
I'll send you the clip.
Please do. Please do.
Yeah, I will.
That is so love it. Wow.
Good at that.
Well, it's experimental. You got to experiment with it to get it just right. So
I
Hey,
listened to that on the radio for real. That's not bad.
that wasn't bad at all. That had me going. I loved it. The build up, even, it was
yeah.
it was great. It was great.
Yep.
I give
What
you
was the genre you went for on that one?
Well, it was Kevin Rudolph's "Let It Rock," that song, and it's just that it has some electronic music and the all the different sounds in there, and you pulled it in. It was great.
That was awesome.
I did my best, and that's what I did was I took him as an artist and had AI tell me exactly how to describe
Gotcha.
his kind of music, because I put that in there, and it seemed to do okay. I mean, it put it together.
It did. That was good. You want to hear a scary story about music? So I joined a network to do a podcast, and the sound engineer was making a theme song for my new podcast. Not where I'm with iHeartRadio, but another network. And I said, okay, great. I look forward to what you come up with. And then he calls me, and he's like, I don't know what to tell you. He's like, something weird happened. I'm like, well, what could it be? And he's like, I went to my keyboards to start playing. When it started playing its own rhythm and background and all of that, and I couldn't stop it. I said, oh, and he said, I unplugged it. I put it back, and it did it again. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to add a few instrumentals because apparently this is what it's supposed to be. And I was dying to hear it. I said, you've got to be kidding me. He said, I have never experienced this before. There was nothing I could do. It turned out to be fantastic. So it's crazy. But I have a weird thing with electronics. That happens all the time. And he wrote it up as a testimony. This happened. Can't explain it. This is really cool.
Wow.
Well, Heidi, my next question is kind of weird.
Sure.
I try to ask all the guests this because I try to get into the headspace
Sure.
for a guest. But the question is animal, mineral, or vegetable? Animal, do you believe that Sasquatch is a living, breathing animal? Mineral, do you believe that Sasquatch might be interdimensional or extraterrestrial? Or vegetable, do you believe Bigfoot might be spiritual? Or do you believe it may be a combination of any two of them or any three of them or whatever?
Oh, I think he's interdimensional. I really do. Because the way it was able to manifest a boulder in a cleared area and to toss it that way, something so huge, it almost seemed like, because I heard, when you get a presence of something having been tossed, like going through the air, it just seemed to manifest and whoosh, and when I saw that thing manifest in that woman's home, I'll just never forget it, because it's like, my goodness, to think that there's something that has that kind of capability that was so solid and absolutely a hairy beast of some kind. It let me know that this world that we're in is boundless. We don't know the capabilities, but I think it makes use of our land. I think it likes to reside in it. It's made a home, but its defense system to blend is amazing. So I think interdimensional with a connection, like, again, the UFO congressional hearings, they're very specific to say interdimensional, not extra-dimensional beings, or extraterrestrial beings, I should say. So they're very specific to that. So I think we're dealing with an interdimensional.
Okay.
Very good. My next question. You are credited with discovering and naming 2 types of cryptids. Tell us a little bit about that.
Shadow people and Hat Man. And it's interesting. I don't think I've heard them be called cryptids before, but it kind of fits it, doesn't it, too, right? It's like, it's wild to me. Yeah, I guess I'm the first person to ever discover, name, define 2 phenomena, shadow people and Hat Man. And it's been a whirlwind, to be honest. I tell people, I said, imagine you naming your teddy bear something, and then everybody knows to refer to your teddy bear as that, even though shadow people, Hat Man are nothing sweet and cuddly. But so shadow people are something that I came across that shook up my world. Again, I was raised in a haunted house. I've seen ghosts. I know what they look like, feel like. They feel nosy and a bit intrusive, but not threatening, I'd seen UFOs. Those are curious. But when I saw this thing following a friend of mine in broad daylight, it was so absent of light, non-reflective, and it was absolutely following us. I didn't know what I was looking at. I didn't know what I was dealing with. And we were walking in broad daylight. I saw this thing scurrying behind a bush to a tree. We get to our destination, and it follows us all the way back home. And I was staying at her family's home briefly, having traveled there. And I was like, my gosh, we get to her family's home, and I'm a cartoonist, and I'm like, look, I don't know what it is that I just saw, but I just saw this thing. And I drew what I call the head and shoulder shadow, because it kind of looks like a hulking man with its head directly connected to its shoulders, and but shadowy and like glowing red eyes. And I'm showing this drawing to my friend, and I'm thinking she's going to laugh at me, like think I'm ridiculous. And instead she looks at it and she goes, oh, that thing. Yeah, I don't know. It's been following me since I was a kid. And I'm like, what? That's crazy. And she goes, hey, Dad, look what's back. Oh, not him again. I'm like, what? My brain is just imploding. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I was staying at her family's home. I needed to go upstairs to grab something out of my room and then come back down. And it's like a partially made attic. So it's not completely done. But it's broad daylight. I didn't have to turn the lights on. I run upstairs, and right after this conversation with her about this thing following her, run upstairs, turn around to go leave, and blocking my way out of the room was that thing. Probably 10 feet tall, just blocking my whole exit. And I don't even know how to say, but it was like, I knew if I ran, it was going to get me. And I knew if I swung at it, it was going to get me. I knew somehow, like I almost felt like something whispered in my ear, close your eyes and start saying a prayer and slowly walk through this thing. Because my legs were about to give out. I don't even know how to express that kind of fear, to see something out of a nightmare like that, threatening your very being. And so I slowly walked out of there, and I didn't know later that there was something going on with me that happened after I saw this, that it was connected, because I started having horrific nightmares of giant shadowy spiders. So I'm having these nightmares nightly, and I'm waking up, and the nightmare is actually in the room, and I would just jump out of bed and try to get a broom or a shoe, something to kill it. And sometimes it was thousands of little black shadowy spiders. Ugh, gives me chills. And I just couldn't understand what am I dealing with? Something that's coming out of my nightmares into this reality. And I did not see the connection between having seen that big thing compared to these spiders, but they're definitely related because they can shapeshift. And so that was the beginning of my witnessing those things. And the whole shadow people and the Hat Man topic got born when I learned later their details from a non-human intelligence, I guess you could say, like what were the ins and outs of this thing and what I was actually dealing with. And boy, it took me all the way back to church, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So,
Mick has a question here. He's wanting to know what general area did all these experiences occur in?
as far as the shadow people Hat Man, that was discovered in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I lived there going to college. And the first Bigfoot encounter, that was Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Mm-hmm. And the big hairy creature, that was Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Yeah. So a lot of people don't realize shadow people Hat Man discovered right here in the Midwest.
Yep. Yeah, and I had heard of shadow people and Hat Man, but I didn't realize you were the one that really started.
Yeah.
Started that. So
yeah. I wrote the book in 1997, and I was in college. I was broke. I couldn't even afford the full copyright at that stage, but I did the poor man's copyright. You mail it back to yourself and you don't open it. That I had
right.
that. I did that, but then I got it copywritten before it was spoken of anywhere. People say, "Oh, that one guy mentioned it." Now, it took me 2 months to write the book and 4 years to get a publisher. And during that time, other people that publish these types of books were authors themselves in the weird sections. And so I had sent this book out to radio people and television and other authors trying to get word out there. So if they heard of shadow people, it was probably because I sent it to them. But check the copyright. I got an official one now. I got it before it was spoken of. So people questioned it. And I'm like, it's free to look online and see when it was copywritten.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
One more question.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Billy talked about this before you come on. Have you noticed an increase in cryptid sightings? And if you have, why do you think that is so?
Yes, I've noticed an increase. And how much time do we have left, guys?
We can actually use whatever time you need. So
okay.
Usually the show's supposed to be an hour, but we're allowed to do whatever we want. So
okay, great. Because this gets into some corners of the universe that a lot of people might not always be comfortable with it. But it was difficult for me to admit to where I needed to go to better understand what it was that I was experiencing myself. And talking about the shadow people Hat Man topic, I think about it like there was no way that I could study this. I witnessed something. I called it shadow spiders. That's a shadow people. That's a Hat Man. I called him initially Hat Man Shadow. That was a mistake. He's not a shadow person. He is the boss of the shadow people, which is just crazy to think. But when I was trying to, I don't even know how to say, when you're dealing with something that could go through a wall, come into your nightmare, that's in your mind, your spirit somehow, your psyche, and then open your eyes and it's there. And it's like you're dealing with something that you just don't even know how to figure out. So I am not necessarily like the genius behind defining and how to know what's going on here and there. I literally had another being and that was not human that presented itself to myself and my college roommate, Samantha, the same one that witnessed the big hairy beast. And this being talked about a time where sightings and experiences would go up to such a level you'll recognize changing times. And I like to call it a time of change, not an end time. But things are acting up. As they say, the veil is getting thin. They're getting more desperate because these darker inspired beings that like to create terror, and I'm talking about the ones that I know best, shadow people, Hat Man. They don't like the name Jesus for some reason.
That was exactly where I was going to go.
Yeah, they don't like that name. Same with aliens that are abusing people. If they're aliens, why does that bother them so much? And this being that spoke to me and my college roommate had to school me on, why did you stop praying? Do you know God is real and that's who we answer to? And Jesus is who he says he is, and we do nothing without his commanding it. What was I speaking to? I'm looking at a creature who does not look human, but now mind you, when I first saw it, it looked like a small child. And I never thought of cherub angels, I never thought of that because it had the big eyes like it would be alien, but its features were rounded, more fleshy, pinky color, and spoke of God and how to protect yourself against negative beings by using Christ's name. I'm like, when I took a step forward in telling the world about shadow people and Hat Man, it's something nobody's ever heard of. I'm introducing not one, but two things. And, I'm a lady, I'm a brown lady, and I'm in the Midwest, and I'm going to school to be a therapist. and I'm being met with information from a being who made himself known to say, you need to warn the world about what's happening and how these creatures are going to start infiltrating more and more on humankind, and how their people's souls were at risk. So I write this book called The Secret War, The Heavens Speak of the Battle, because here's a being who is not from here necessarily, is talking this way and giving a warning against something I'm dealing with pretty regularly, and it was horrific. I'm not sleeping well because I'm being attacked regularly. And I'd left church. Here I am, a new adult. I'm in college. I'm not going to bed early on a Saturday to get up to go to church on a Sunday. No way. But I had good friends who did. In fact, my roommate was Pentecostal. Long hair, big skirts that never cut, just absolutely religious. And I had Catholic friends. And I'm like, I believed in God, but I said my prayers in Jesus' name. I knew I was supposed to do that, but I'd stopped praying. I'd stopped going to church. And I honestly put in my book, The Secret War, I told you it took me a couple months to write it and 4 years to get it published. I'd put in there because I'd seen angelic beings. I'd seen demonic. I'd seen alien. I'd seen this hairy beast thing. And I was just like, this is how cocky I was and how wrong I was. I said, if Jesus were around, I think I would have seen him by now, because I was bombarded. And again, I don't claim to be psychic or anything. I just think my family and we experienced a lot of weird stuff, It just seems to be something in the family. But I just never thought I was being confronted with a clash between the light and the dark, but it absolutely was. And to step forward with two new topics, talking about this bridge between the paranormal, ufology, cryptozoological elements, and what's going on here. and I'm a college age lady, it was hard for people to get over it. But as soon as I got that book out and said the words shadow people on Coast to Coast, I am not kidding you. I was able to get like 6,000 of the emails. Back then it was AOL. And if you didn't save the emails, it deleted.
Yep.
So I had thousands, and it's never stopped ever since. It's been over 25 years now talking about it.
Yeah. Well, one thing's for sure. And I'm open about this, Heidi.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know this, but I have always been open about it. I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
So I know there's a fight between good and evil. We all know that. And, in my opinion, they know that they have a short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So they're going to do whatever they can to mislead, whatever. The same as they did to Eve. They're going to do the same thing. It's all a trick. So, yeah. Yeah.
I tell people this is not the time to be shy to say you're Christian. I don't know why people think it's a bad word. Fence sitting. This is not the time. You've got to decide, because things are eyeballing you like candy.
Mm-hmm.
I was told that it's not just a possibility, it's a threat that you are going to experience one of these dark creatures at some point.
And what I've noticed, this is something I've noticed over the years, and this is just from doing, in-depth Bible studies, mm-hmm. and just and having families similar to what you're talking about. There seems to be certain people who are more susceptible to these type of things.
Yes.
There's others out in the world that are just like nonchalant. Oh, I don't care about anything. And they don't have nothing. They don't see nothing, hear nothing. Just don't care. Right. But then you have families that they sense it. You know what I mean? They know something's going on, and it seems to run in families.
Yeah.
So
it does. And, I'm thankful that my family experienced things alongside of me in the haunted house, because we're little kids. We lost our mother. I was 7 years old. My sister is 5. My other sister, she was 10. And the house becomes haunted horribly. And everybody's like, oh, it's your mother doing it. I'm like, what mother would want to terrorize her very young children? I mean, no. It took me a while to realize it was shadow people. It's like there's no protective love like a mother's love. And when she left, it was fair game. And so it's a crazy thing. It's like I've written a lot of different books, and they cover a lot of different areas, and people are like, I don't get it. I'm like, well, it's kind of all circling around spiritual warfare. Mm-hmm. Because the emails I kept getting were, I don't get into that religious thing, but I just saw the devil. I'm like, then throw a shoe at it. That's a religious term, devil. It's like, right. What are you talking about?
Right.
So just trying to get people to have common sense. Yeah. Jesus said all you need is faith the size of a mustard seed, just that big, and you could move a mountain, and have no doubt in that. And so I try to encourage people to have some common sense about this. You could feel evil that you call that thing the devil.
Right.
What does that tell you?
Right.
So I'm just trying my best. And so I did a bunch of books. I've had angelic encounters, and my favorite were, I've never, there's no way I could anticipate or even say, of course this would be next, but here I had written that book, The Secret War, and I bashed people who claimed to see Jesus in the book. Literally. I was like, I'd seen angelic beings, and it's because I had bad seizures as a kid. Mm-hmm. And be at death's door, and I would go to this place I call the Crystal City, and it looks like ancient Greek buildings. And I would go there and get taught things. And I had the type of seizures that were essentially would kill you because they wouldn't stop. They kept happening. Thank God I don't have them anymore. But so I'd seen angelic beings, and I'm like, I never saw Jesus. I assumed people were thinking like, oh, it's a beautiful angel, it must be Jesus, because I don't know if you remember some of the ridiculous stories of Jesus is in a piece of toast and a tree trunk. And I was like, oh, just quit. So I really tore it up. I was such a skeptic, and I wrote that in the Secret War book. And as I was trying to get a publisher for those 4 years, I had an encounter with him that changed everything. And there's no way I could anticipate somebody I just bashed as badly as I did and to have an encounter with him. And I had to rewrite that chapter of that book. Thank God, and people are like, well, why you? And I'm like, why not anybody? I think he saw I was a decent person that was about to make a big mistake. And he didn't yell at me. In fact, he told me something I needed to do. And he told me to finish writing that book, like rewrite it, because it was already written. He knew I bashed him. And he said, do not worry what other people say. Know that I'll be there to give you the words. And that meant everything to me. It's like I was in a medical study as an occupational therapist. I'm a therapist now, and it's a very difficult program, and you have to have those straight A's, right? Mm-hmm. I was so bashful. I never would do my presentations for any of my classes. I would just do all the extra work to try to keep my A's up there, and I would never do a talk. But after I saw Jesus, I would always, even before I do a show like yours, I look to the heavens and I'm like, you promised me you give me the words. Now I'm holding you to it because I have nothing to say. I'm just here to hopefully wake people up. But the books that I do, they all encompass the topics of no fence sitting, figure out where you're at, because the threat of these negative things are real. And I'm a cartoonist. I'm like, well, Heidi, why don't you do something with this? So I did 2 books, kind of like the Diary of a Wimpy Kid type books. At if you go to the otherfword.com, F stands for faith, and to try to get people to stop being so tough on themselves and be perfect in their faith, but to find the layer, the level that they're at, and do a little bit to improve. And so like the one book I have is The Other F Word, how to find faith and laugh at yourself while trying, because it's comical. We're so hard on ourselves, and God is pretty interesting. And Jesus has a sense of humor. He's laughed at me twice. And I don't mean to minimize, because I'm kind of skipping over a lot, but I've had some powerful encounters with him, and twice he laughed at me, in 2 of them, and so I let people know, I'm like, when he laughed at me the first time, it warmed me so much. Like, he has a sense of humor, and he gets us, So we are flawed. God knows he made us flawed. How do people think we're going to be perfect in our faith? It's just so difficult. So I think we just have to know to be able to call on him when we're in the face of some of these negative things, and they respond. They absolutely respond. So that's important.
Well, and that's what I've told, we talk about that a lot here. Sometimes when we say a prayer, it doesn't necessarily get answered the way we think it will. And you're right. When you say that God has a sense of humor, he does. There is a sense of humor there.
Oh yeah.
So things don't always get answered exactly what you're expecting, because you know what? It's us expecting it. God doesn't think like we do.
Right.
So it can come out completely different. So
for sure.
But he's still answering it. So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So, yeah.
I I like telling this one story about somebody that wrote me and said, Hat Man came at me. And by the way, Hat Man loves to talk. He'll tell people he's the devil himself. And one of his favorite things to first describe him, he wears a 3-piece suit, sometimes a trench coat or a cape, sometimes a gaucho hat, top hat, or no hat at all. He could step into the shadows and step out of the shadows, and you can see all the details. And he loves to terrorize people to within an inch of their lives, where they're just so terrorized. He has the smile and the teeth of Pennywise from the movies It. Mm-hmm. And some people call him the smiling man or something, but kind of like Venom. His eyes, his smile, very much like that. And I tell people, I'm like, when you're in the face of something like that, and he has no personal space, he'll get right up on your nose and just try to absorb and eat the fear out of you. And when people can't take it anymore, they're like, just go ahead and kill me already. I can't take it anymore. That's when he'll take his fist and punch it through your chest and pull your soul out. Okay. And he also does the whole sleep paralysis and everything like that. And, so when people are out there talking on these subjects like they're an authority and know what they're talking about and tell people there's nothing to fear with that thing. In fact, he's your guardian angel. This is how you could conjure him. It breaks my heart because I'm introducing these as a warning, not as something to revere or fear, but to stand your ground. And I tell people this story because when you get that sleep paralysis and you're having this kind of threat around you, and if you say Jesus' name, they will leave. But there's, of course, the paralysis. It's hard for people to talk. I had somebody one time write me and said, I can move my tongue, though. So on the roof of my mouth, I made the sign of the cross, and they left. How powerful is that? That the belief of that. I said, you could even think his name, and it'll leave. And I have on my website a way to bless your home, too, to keep negative aliens, negative beings, shadow people, all these things, demonic stuff out. And been fortunate enough that it's done wonders and worked. So,
yeah, I have to say that we haven't had any problems. And again, I think it's because, everyone here, we constantly study the Bible, regularly talk about God. So it's all good. Now Verax, I'm gonna have to put this up in sections because it came in 3 sections. So Verax, let's see, this is where it starts. So Heidi, you've spoken extensively about shadow people, Hat Man being interdimensional, even demonic in nature. Based on your years of research and testimonies from experiencers, do you believe there's a pattern or specific condition, spiritual, emotional, or environmental, that makes someone more likely to encounter these entities? And if so, what can people do to protect themselves or prevent these encounters?
Yes. Yeah, actually, sure, there's the person that plays with the Ouija board that can attract them. And of course, these are like typical things like, yeah, you can ask for trouble and get the trouble. Sometimes I have people say, I know what I was doing at the time when this stuff started, and I was an addict, I was an alcoholic, because these things love to get you when you're down, but also being sick. Like, how is that fair? When you're sick, they'll come at you, excuse me, or injured. But when it's just that random by chance, like what's attracting them, you're going to be surprised by this. 9 times out of 10, it's because the person is gifted. And what do I mean by gifted? I mean artists, writers, musicians, people who look to replicate nature or might be in tune with it more or are intuitive, deja vus. It's amazing to me how many people, like myself, spotted one of these things following somebody else, and then it came at me because it could see, I could see. So we're more likely to spot these things out, and they want to stomp out that ability and scare you into submission and silence. Because what it shows is that we are essentially evolving. If a moth that sits in a tree can evolve to reflect a different color of the trees that they're in, we can evolve. We are pretty fantastic beings that God created too. And we're growing more intuitive. We're growing more aware. We're absolutely different than what our ancestors were able to do. And what does that mean? That means that we do have a better sense of what surrounds us as well. I think that a lot of people are so numb these days to the fact that they even have a soul. And these things are just, licking their lips at us like, look at this dummy not paying attention. And so it's wild to me to hear so many times that people like myself are tripping up and bumping into these things, and they spot you. Shadow people, when they see that you could see them, they'll charge at you. One charged at me, and they'll plague you with their presence. But other times, if they see that you could see them, they'll run. Hopefully, you didn't see them. So that's shadow people. Hat man? Oh no. He doesn't run. He hopes you get a good look. He wants to be recognized. He wants you to know he's there and he's real. And unfortunately, if you've got him in with your sights, pretend you didn't see it. To turn your head, because if he notices, he will get up and smile, just the worst smile you can imagine. He bites, he scratches, he abuses men, women, and children in every manner you can imagine. People don't like to talk about that. Shadow people, they growl, they whisper, they pin people down. But Hat Man could be very specific in talking to you about what he's going to do to you, and why. He'll throw people across the room, across the neighborhood. He's horrible, just horrific. And I tell people these details to know that there's something claiming to be the devil himself in the world today, and the sightings are in the millions. Why? What is going on? What? And I ask myself, why was this put my direction to have to discuss and put out there to the world? But I remember why now. I mean, I didn't always know, but I remember. And it's heavy. It's heavy stuff, and it's heartbreaking. But unfortunately, there are reasons these things are attracted is because we are changing, and they can't control us as much. They're being seen more often, and they're getting more desperate and trying to instill the fear and get people to submit. But I want people to know one thing. Shadow people, I've always talked about this, are directly connected to the alien conversation. I had a UFO group for over 15 years. I always talked about these things not being from here, but also being demonic, but being recognized across dimensions, universes, planets as being something of a dark source. We come from a light source. That's called God. These come from something else. And they recognize that. And but I like to tell people, if you look at the abducting aliens and what it is that they do to people, how they paralyze a person, just like shadow people, coming usually at nighttime when your guard is down, just like shadow people, putting thoughts in your head of horrific things and dreams, just like shadow people, negative alien beings that do these things. They are seen right alongside of each other. Gray alien, Hat Man, shadow people that have these things, they're having poltergeist experiences and all that. And And I'm like, okay, so they come at night, they paralyze you. There might be more than one of them, could be a whole crew of them. And then they whisper in your ear, you're having a bad dream. This is what we're going to do to you. So you wake up frightened and you can't move. And the nightmare's in the room with you now. And now they say, now we got you. Now we got to convince you that you're too weak. You can't do anything else. And you say the name Jesus and they all leave. Look at all this effort that went in to take down one human. One. So what does that tell you? We have something that scares the crap out of them. We have something. We are such a sought after being because we are children of God. We're his family, quite literally. And these things just can't figure it. They don't understand our emotions, our souls, and how we're, growing and learning and being given these opportunities to grow and learn. And they're trying to feast upon us. People are crossing over, and when they're passing, and an alien comes into view, or these shadow people come into view. They're absolutely intersecting and grabbing people. And I tell people, if you're a person that's experiencing aliens or shadow people or hat man in this life, and you haven't cut that tie, they're going to follow you into the afterlife. And how do you get rid of them? Because it's hard to, they don't come and knock on your door in broad daylight. No, they come like a thief in the night and call all their friends and paralyze you. And like I was saying, no. How do you protect yourself when they could do that? You have to bless your home yourself. You have to do it. And I put this for free on my website on how to do it. You could go to hatmanhelp.com or HeidiHollis.com. And I have in there a breakdown of how you bless your home. I have it in 2 or 3 of my books. I even did a book that's only on it because people wanted to have a visual. It's called The Hat Man. It's book 2. I have it in Secret War book, I think, and the Hat Man book as well. Just to methodically go through your home and bless each room in a particular way. But I have it all broken down on and the website. It's so important. And then, like you see, I've got a cross necklace on. I use this to do my blessing, and I keep the blessing with me because these things have come at me and my family and friends and coworkers in their cars, at their homes, at work. It doesn't matter. They'll try to get at you. So, so I welcome people to write me too. I'm on social media. HeidiHollis@gmail.com or at 1 Heidi Hollis. Put a 1 in front of my name, the number itself. And if you see me on, I answer to people sending me messages. So, on most social media, I have the 1 like that in front of my name. So, yeah.
Yep. I'm gonna add this. I know people don't want us talking about the Bible a lot of times, but I am gonna mention this because of what you said. So, does everyone remember what happened when Jesus was 30 years old? Right after he got baptized, what did he do? He went into the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights. Guess what? He was at his weakest point, right? Who tempted him the moment he was at that 40 day and 40 night? Who came along and tried to tempt him? Mm-hmm. The devil. At his weakest point. So that kind of seals that deal. That's what they do. They like to attack you when you're down. They like to attack you when you're weak.
They do.
So,
and sometimes they bring it on. I've had so many emails. Hat Man pushed a tree into the road and hit my car. What? And so many people who have attempted to end themselves, who are like, I wasn't trying to end myself. And they wake up in the hospital strapped down and they have a visitor at the side of their bed. It's Hat Man. And he has a certain thing he likes to say to people. I was this close to having you. He does this little, and then he disappears. So he's literally inciting people to unalive themselves. What? Like, what are we dealing with here, guys? It is what we think it is. And it's crazy to think I had the first encounter I did with Jesus, again, skeptic of seeing such things. And he asked me to finish writing the book and to, take out my skepticism. And it's like, I would have never guessed to be sitting here with this side of both side. I don't even know how to say it. It's like this revelation of the two sides and the clashing, and how to identify the characters, and how Jesus still stands as he always has. And just to remind people of this ancient battle and how it's coming to ahead right now. And it's going to be okay. But for people who are anxious about the end times, I'm like, we're going to lose too many people. We've got to help each other out a little bit more, and have patience too, because it's rough. It's rough. It's really rough what's going on. But we need to start talking about some of these stranger things out of the privacy of our homes only, and start talking about it as we would anything else, because these things are placing their bets on us not to figure them out. And it's not the time to be bashful about being Christian and claiming that, and being, everyday conversation with you don't have to be a Bible thumper. You don't have, just be realistic. There is something that could step into view that makes people say the devil is here, but they're not religious, but they know, and he will tell them he is the devil. And they are shaking in their boots and writing to me on the opposite side of the planet using Google Translate, looking for help. I had to do a what do you call it? It was like an illegal internet show for China because they were being attacked so much.
Yeah. And
the people are agonizing over Hat Man and Shadow People. The devil coming over. And they found me and asked for help. So I can't ever visit China, I was told.
Yeah.
I would be
probably not.
I couldn't believe it. I said, well, it's worth it to save some people. So
I don't think you're going to miss much.
Okay, good. Thanks, Gary. I appreciate it. Man.
Well, you got any more questions, Gary, for Heidi?
No, I'm good, Billy. Really appreciate Heidi. Heidi, you've been a great guest.
Thank you.
Like I said, people, you can go check her out. HeidiHollis.com. Like I said, you can check out her books, The Secret War, Jesus is No Joke, The Other F Word. Give them a check out. If you're interested, check them out.
Yes, thank you guys so much. It was just fun to be able to talk about those experiences, the Sasquatch stuff, because I never get that opportunity. And I don't know what it was, but I just, especially the indoor one, I don't know what the heck. But
that's got me beat right there.
Yeah, it's something else.
as we close out the show, can you kind of hang on to the end, Heidi, and then we'll come back after we close it out?
Sure, for sure.
All right. We will be right back. All right. Well, we thank everybody for being here tonight. Next week, we're going to have, hold on, where'd I put my notes? Next week, we will have Larry Beans Baxter on the show, 9:00 p.m. Eastern. And we'll get him on here, and Gary will have some questions ready for him too. And Gary, if you don't have anything else, then I'll go ahead and close things out. But we want to say how much we appreciate everybody. The chat room was on fire tonight. We appreciate every single one of you guys. Keep it up. Share the show, like the show, all that kind of thing helps. And hopefully, I don't know, maybe Heidi can talk, George Noory into coming in one day. That'd be great. that would be a milestone right there.
Yeah. Oh, talk about somebody busy. He's a busy guy.
Oh, believe me, I can only imagine. So, all right. So, thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. And until then, you guys have a great rest of the week. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Sasquatch Watch Radio, the official podcast partner of Big. We've got groundbreaking news that'll shake the very foundations of the cryptid community. Sasquatch Watch Radio is incredibly proud to announce our exclusive podcast partnership with Big, the Bigfoot Investigative Group. For the first time ever, you'll get an inside look into the world of Bigfoot investigations through the eyes of true American heroes. Big is comprised of an elite team of United States Navy SEAL veterans, United States Marine Corps veterans, and United States Army veterans, bringing their unparalleled discipline, strategic thinking, and investigative prowess to the hunt for Sasquatch. Prepare for an auditory adventure like no other. Starting this Monday, tune in at 9 p.m. Eastern Time for thrilling new interviews and occasional updates directly from the Bigfoot Investigative Group. Sasquatch Watch Radio is honored to be the official podcast of Big's Navy SEAL team, and we can't wait to share their incredible work with you. Don't miss out. Monday nights at 9 p.m. ET, only on Sasquatch Watch Radio.
Thanks for tuning in to Sasquatch Watch Radio. We truly appreciate each and every one of you. Stay connected. Don't miss our next exciting show, airing next Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. To stay updated, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'd also love for you to join our Facebook page at facebook.com/Sasquatch Watch Radio and check out our website at squatchradio.com. Share your stories and feedback. Your feedback means the world to us, so please give us a thumbs up on our shows and let us know what you think. Have you had an encounter? If you've had a sighting or encounter, we want to hear from you. Reach out to us through our website, YouTube channel, or Facebook page. And if you're interested in being a guest on our podcast, please don't hesitate to contact us. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next Monday night.